Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Lizzie, and for today's video, we are talking about Season 2 of Two Sentence Horror Story. So I have actually already reviewed the first season of this show, so I will leave a link so that you can check that out. So if you have not heard of the show, it's available to watch on Netflix, and they currently have the second season up. Now, when I was looking into it, it shows that there's actually 3 seasons of the show that was originally on the CW, but for whatever reason, Netflix only has like the second and third season. They don't have the first. So technically, it's the third season. It's the second season on Netflix, at least here in the US. Now, this season has about 10 episodes. I believe the first season had 8 episodes. And what the show is about is it's basically like a horror anthology, and each episode is roughly about 20 minutes, give or take, long, and they each are based off of a two-sentence horror story, which I believe this trend started with Reddit, where people would basically submit these short sentence horror stories, and it kind of traveled to other parts of the internet, as it tends to do. And I mean, they're not always just 2 sentences. The way each episode works is you get an opening sentence before the episode, and then a following sentence to wrap it all up. And I love it. I really enjoyed the first season, and I really enjoyed the second season. It really has a very diverse cast. Each episode tackles a story that affects a minority in some way, whether it's a person of color or someone from the LGBTQ plus community or combination of both. And of course, I loved that aspect. Now, not to give away too much, because obviously some of those aspects are spoiler alerts, but for example, the second episode that you have, it follows a trans boy who is at a new school in a small town and really is struggling to fit in, and that's just kind of the different types of representation that is throughout the season, which I always think, of course, is very important. Now, as far as my favorite episode goes, it's definitely a tie between some episodes, but I'd have to say the third one was my favorite. This one is called Instinct, and it is about a young true crime writer who is doing some side jobs just to kind of support her art, and she ends up taking this painting job where she believes her host is a serial killer, which when we got to this episode, you only really just have these 2 main characters in the episode, which is also kind of nice. Like, the episodes generally follow a small group of people, and in this episode, when it started and we meet this gentleman that she is working for, I was like, why does he look so familiar? I was just having one of those moments where it's like, you know, sometimes you recognize the person right away and you can tell, like, oh, I know them from this and this. And then there's other times where you're like struggling so hard to figure out where you know this person from. And that was my moment. I was like, why can I not remember, figure out where I know this person from? So of course I had to look it up, and it turned out that he plays Stuart on Letterkenny, but he does not have, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, but he does not have his classic black hair in it. He actually has natural short blonde hair, so I was definitely struggling to recognize him, and then when I saw that and figured it out, I was like, oh my goodness, I ended up texting my sister to be like, you have to watch this episode, because she loves him as well, and I just thought that was fantastic. So that added a little benefit to it. There's also another character that pops up in the episode, who, that actress has also been in a few other things that I recognize her from too, but I really mostly enjoyed this one because the story plot was really intense, and of course is about true crime and potential serial killer, and it was just really good, and if you're gonna watch any episode, I definitely highly suggest checking out that one. I would say my least favorite was probably Fix. This one is about a young gay man who is struggling with forgiving his sister who is a drug addict. It takes place on the anniversary of their parents' unfortunate death, and it's a very interesting episode. It has a bit of an Evil Dead feeling at moments, which I did enjoy, but it tends to take a very religious turn, and it's a horror anthology, so each episode is written by different people, and that is fine for the creators of this episode. I just didn't really jam with that aspect of it, but if you enjoy that in your horror, you may enjoy this episode. It just turned me off from it just a little bit, and then one of the episodes, which is, I believe it's actually the last episode, I may be pronouncing it wrong, so I do apologize, but it looks like it's Ibenji, but I'm not sure if that's the correct pronunciation, so again, do apologize, but I really like this episode as well. It reminded me a lot of the Buffy episode. If you've seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the episode Killed by Death, which is, if you don't know by title, it's the episode that takes place in a hospital. It's a pretty well-known Buffy episode, and it kind of reminded me of that a little bit, so I really, really liked that episode as well. I really, in general, liked this entire season, I think more so than the first season, but I'd probably have to rewatch the first season as well, because it's been a minute, so maybe I will at some point, but I really, really enjoyed this season and liked it a lot. So if you watched this newest season, let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. If you did enjoy this, please do give it a big old thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for more horror-related content. And before I go, a quick shout out to my Patreons. Thank you guys so much for helping to contribute to the channel. If you know the perks to being a Patreon, links are in the description below, along with all of my social media, and I will see you guys again later with another video. Bye!